Hey, so another edition of Auntie Karen, and we are going to talk a little bit more detail about shadow work. And, we talked about that we would get into the mechanics of shadow work, and I think it's important for you to watch the videos on my main channel on the shadow work playlist. There is a series, okay, and it is in several parts. And I would recommend that you watch that. That talks about the mechanics a lot. And I want to just expand on that a little bit. If I repeat myself, so be it. But the main thing that you are doing when you are actually doing shadow work is you are allowing yourself to process through the emotions and the feelings associated with experiences that have hurt you, that have caused you to have a negative self-image, or things that have happened to you that have caused you to have a negative self-image, that have you believing self-defeating beliefs about yourself, or things of that nature. And not to repress those, but to allow yourself to process through those feelings so that you can release those. And what you're doing is you are literally allowing yourself to feel the feelings that you've repressed, the emotions, the sadness, the anger, the resentments, the whatever those things may be. And that is done typically a lot of times in stages. And as you sit down, ways to actually deal with those things that work for me best, okay? And this touches on some things that I touch on in those videos. There are certainly other ways, but these are my ways, okay? A lot of times I journal. A lot of times I will write letters to people that I never send. Sometimes those people you may not be able to reach those people. Maybe they're even passed away. And I will write those letters and I will burn them. And many times during the times that I am writing, whether it's journaling, whether it's writing letters about my feelings and that sort of thing, for me, it is a lot of tears. And that for me is kind of the release and the feel. And you process through, you allow those feelings to move through you because you don't want to stay in those feelings. You allow yourself to feel those feelings so that then they can be released. Okay, this is how it works for me. And after those feelings, after you work through those feelings, because you don't want to stay in that vibration, you will sense a release and a feeling of peace. Many times for me, it may be the next day. It may be a few days later. It depends on the intensity and just the situation. It seems to work through quicker for me now than it used to. But when you are working through those feelings, it is going to feel like a war that is going on. And it is, okay? It is a war between light energy and dense energy. What is in the shadow is dense. And as you bring that up to consciousness to actually feel it, you have to feel it to heal it. That is my personal experience and my belief. It is going to be tough. And what is going on is literally a battle. You will feel like you are about to explode. And it is a battle going on inside you between light and dark, okay? Between light and dense energy. And that dense energy is resisting because it doesn't even want light shown on it, okay? Because that means that and what you're doing is you're transmuting that dense energy by bringing it to consciousness, to light, out of your subconscious. And it will feel like a war, and it is. But if you will just sit with it and allow it to happen and sit with that emotion. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's painful. But at the end of the day, you will eventually feel a sense of relief, release, and you will find yourself making peace with these emotions and these beliefs and these feelings that you have repressed. Sometimes it's a repression that you love an asshole. Sometimes, and that was the case with me. I had to make peace with the fact, and this goes back, in time. But one of the final things for me in releasing my past person was actually admitting I have emotion for this person. Yes, they treated me like a dick, And I had to make peace with that. And that's okay because, part of me wanted to repress the fact that I had emotions for an asshole because I couldn't reconcile the fact that I could love an asshole or somebody that treated me like a jackass, okay? But when I made peace with that, it's really odd because that's when the emotions finally started to subside and I actually fully released that person, okay? I had to make peace with it and say, I love this person. They're horrible for me. It would be horrible if we ever got back together. He would treat me like shit again, and yet I love him. And make peace and say, I honor those emotions. I honor their existence and my right to feel that way. And it's okay. And I will no longer judge myself for the fact that I love a person who is a dirtbag, okay? I won't be in judgment of myself and talk down to myself for the way I feel. And it was that point that I actually started to release those emotions. And the desire to hit that person's social media periodically, I don't even think about it anymore. I can't tell you the last time it's even crossed my mind to even look at their social media, okay? I can't. It's been a long, well over, probably 2 years, okay? Probably 2 years. But that being said, that led to deeper shadow work for me, where I started to actually have things associated with the trauma in my childhood surface and manifest itself through anxiety and through triggers. Deep anxiety attacks, okay? Deep, and really, really intense and long-lasting. We're not talking about 15 minutes. We're talking about hours. And it was after that that I started to do the deep healing associated with childhood trauma. I do not consider myself a victim. I consider myself a warrior and a winner. When we have these things happen to us as children and as adults, no, it is the other person's fault that they did it. Our responsibility is what we're going to do about it. We can become bitter or we can become better. And there is no other option. We're not going to be the same person. We're not. That's the whole point, is are we going to become better or bitter? And I'm convinced that my approach that I took to these things made me better than I would have been had they never happened. The alternative would make me a bitter bitch. That was my choice. And for a long time, I was in that lower vibration. The point of me sharing with you is to hopefully give you an inspiration that if I can do it, you can do it too. Okay? You don't have to carry that dense feeling about yourself. Okay? And you can become better. Does it take time? Yes, it takes time. It takes a lot of work, and it's intense. And it is my personal belief that these things that happen to us along in our lives, these things that hurt us, they build over time if we're not careful, and we repress these emotions and these feelings and these thoughts, and we don't deal with them in the right way. And so then we become, a person who is easily triggered, who we are, we have tempers and we're easily triggered. Then we suffer with anxiety many times. CPTSD has been a thing for me. My symptoms are almost negligible now. I hardly ever have anxiety anymore. And I attribute that to shadow work, okay? It's not meds, and I'm not saying that meds are wrong. No, I can't. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not here to say that. But I'm just saying for me, I feel like at this stage in my own life, I'm a walking miracle, okay? Truly. And if I can be that, you can be that too. And so this is how it feels. And on the other side of it, so much peace. So much admiration for myself, realizing what a badass I am that I overcome all of these things that I've overcome and that I've healed from. And, and forgiveness to myself for allowing myself to go through the things, because a lot of it I allowed, certainly not the childhood stuff, but as an adult. Forgiveness to other people. And let's talk about that, because forgiveness, it's not saying it was okay. It's not wiping it away, never, like it never happened. It's simply the choice that I'm no longer going to carry that energy and that grudge. I'm going to wish that person well, okay? And I'm going to recognize that they probably hurt me because they were hurt, more than likely, okay? And I actually know that to be true for my particular situation. And I will share with you that some of the hardest things that I dealt with was not the things that were done to me, but the things that I did toward people that I love deeply, that hurt them deeply, and that they're having to heal from, right? And to release myself from the energy of holding guilt and shame for the things that I did, and going back to where I was and saying, right, it wasn't right that I did those things, but I was doing the best I could. And so holding myself as both a person who did things to hurt people and have things that hurt me, if I can allow myself to release myself from the guilt, then I have to release the people who did things toward me as well. So I've had on both hats, someone who hurt others and someone who was hurt by others. And all of those things are things that have had to be dealt with and cleaned up. And it was no easy feat. And I've got more skeletons in my closet than you, and things that would shock you, okay? Things that I've done, okay? Not just things that have been done to me, but things that I've done that were very ugly, not proud of, but proud of what I overcome. That, okay? So that is just touching on some of the mechanics in shadow work. Do I always use journaling and writing letters as a tool? No, not always. Sometimes it's just sitting with it. And sometimes I will have conversations with people out loud that aren't here, okay? And sometimes it's about things that I did toward other people. Sometimes it's about things that people did toward me, okay? So it's just a matter of what works for you to be able to sit with the emotions and let them pass through, okay? They're not going to be there forever. You will have a peace because it's like you are acknowledging them. And that is why, it's like you shake hands and say, I acknowledge you and I honor you to that emotion. And doing that is what actually is going to raise your vibration, and you're not going to feel so bad about yourself and so sad about things and so angry. And, acknowledging the anger is what dissipates it. Acknowledging the sadness is what dissipates it. Acknowledging the harm that you did to others and the guilt is what actually helps you to release it. You cannot release the emotions if you don't acknowledge that they are there. And until you acknowledge them, they're going to stay buried, and you're going to carry that shit. And it is going to be density within you, and it lowers your vibration. So with that being said, I hope this has helped you guys. I hope that you can find ways to release and work through and sit with these emotions, these feelings, these self-limiting beliefs about yourself, okay? So with that being said, thank you so, so much. I hope that you watch me on my other tarot channel, Enchanted Cottage 333. I read tarot there. I do readings and all of that sort of thing. You can get a peek into my situation on my website, which is linked below. And I wish you so much happiness and healing and abundance, because this is a part of raising your vibration to manifest the very best life experiences in every area. It really does work. All right. Much love and light to you guys. Thanks for listening.